Just slow down. Do not be in a hurry to swallow whatever you hear, read, or see. You should know by now you have been fed a line. Imagine for a moment you were in control of your life. If that were the case, you would never opt to be homeless or fight a war just to keep in power those who exploit you and end up homeless when you got back home, or be sentenced to doing time in jail, or end up being a drug addict, or go bankrupt, or be a prostitute, or waste your life trying to make ends meet, or end up being a common criminal, or become an alcoholic, or a compulsive gambler, or smoke 3 packs of cigarettes a day until you get diagnosed with lung cancer, or see your children, your relatives, your friends, your loved ones ruined by any of the misfortunes just mentioned above and many more not mentioned above, because there are so many of them. If you were in control of your life, you would never opt for any of that. But you have been or will go through several major misfortunes in your life, which means you are not in control of your life. The antidote to allowing yourself to be brainwashed into believing lies is the Socratic dialectics. The Socratic dialectics is also the antidote to the impending negative effects of artificial intelligence. Not that AI has nothing positive to offer, but in this discussion we are interested in the negative effects of it. You need to develop logical filters so that you can determine successfully if what you hear, read, or see is what it is portrayed to be or pure propaganda and demagoguery. And this is what Socratic dialectics is all about. Every important concept, and there are thousands of them, resides simultaneously in 2 very different universes, the universe of demagoguery and the universe of truth. The word sounds the same and is spelled the same way in both universes, but their definition is diametrically different. Remember that each word is much more than just a word. It is a representation of a concept that has a number of characteristics that define the meaning of that word. In the universe of demagoguery, the definition of democracy has been distorted because it really is the definition of oligarchy, except that they do not call it oligarchy but democracy. For obvious reasons, you must be misled into believing that oligarchy is democracy. Do you get that? But what exactly are those obvious reasons? They want to take advantage of you in every conceivable way possible. They want to appropriate your time, your work, your energy, even your body for themselves. But who is they? Those to whom you have given authority through your vote to manage what matters most to you, thus unknowingly providing them with the means of abusing you. By abusing the power you give them, they abuse you. They are those figuring high on the hierarchy in the federal, state, and local government, plus those who wield great economic and financial power. That is why you end up homeless, or in prison, or broke, or a drug addict, or an alcoholic, or a gambler, etc., etc., etc. But what matters most to you? The welfare of your loved ones and you personally, which means health, education, the economy, prosperity, safety, security, justice, work, equal opportunity, the ability to safeguard your dignity, the means to pursue quality of life and self-actualization, to name some of the most important issues that matter the most to you. Now, in the universe of truth, the definition of democracy is the authentic one, which is the etymology of the word democracy itself. Democracy is a Greek compound word which consists of demos and kratian. Demos means the citizenry, and kratian means to be in control. In other words, democracy is the political system in which the citizens are in personal control of their own lives. How long do judges, policemen, and elected officials remain in power? At least for a few years. For all practical purposes, a few years amounts to being in power permanently. But permanent power and democracy are by definition at odds. Democracy means exercising power personally on a rotating basis. Until men learn to exercise power themselves, there will always be abuse of power. Permanent power leads necessarily to abuse of power, which, in turn, leads to widespread corruption. Each citizen must learn to be a policeman, a juror, and a legislator for a number of days each year, let us say, depending on the demographics of each administrative unit, 15 days a year a policeman, 15 days a year a juror, and 15 days a year a legislator. Until that happens, citizens are bound to be shamelessly abused and exploited by the few, suffering at the hands of oligarchs. At long last, each citizen must assume personal responsibility for those issues that matter most to them by exercising power personally on a rotating basis. Abolishing permanent power will in itself do away with most corruption, since power will be decentralized like never before and corrupt citizens will be dealt with swiftly in the following few days. Voting, which is considered the cornerstone of pseudo-democracy, will no longer be needed, since citizens will cease delegating vital personal issues to complete strangers who are certain to abuse the authority they are given. It turns out, after all, that voting is needed when there is no democracy and irrelevant when there is democracy. That much twisted is the definition of democracy in the universe of demagoguery. Every congressman, senator, judge, and police chief are well off financially. The cost of their daily private lives cannot be justified by their tax return. How is that? Well, they appropriate far more wealth at their salaries through corrupt practices. They all engage in both illegal and legal theft. Legal theft? Is there such a thing? Of course, there is. They legislate in ways that permit them to hoodwink you while being shielded against prosecution. That amounts to legal theft. They even collude with organized crime. Corrupt Democrats and Republicans paved the way for Donald Trump to become president. If Democrats and Republicans had not been that corrupt for so many years, Trump would have no chance. Biden and all the other presidents, except perhaps Jimmy Carter, is not less corrupt than Trump. Biden should step aside in light of his mental state. But he doesn't. Neither Biden nor Trump are fit to be president, which means the U.S. finds itself between the devil and the deep blue sea. Thus far, we have been talking about the United States, but make no mistake, the same and worse has been happening in most countries, save the Scandinavian countries plus, perhaps, Austria and New Zealand. Trump aspires to becoming the American Kim Jong-un of North Korea. He does envy Kim Jong-un. If he cannot be Kim Jong-un, he would settle with the status of Putin of Russia, or Erdogan of Turkey, or Xi of China. Netanyahu of Israel has the same aspirations as Trump. That is the era we are living in. In my opinion, Biden is being set up to lose the elections, which means, if I am right, that Trump will return to the White House, or should I say, the Black House. Things are bound to get much worse before they get any better, and the way for our lives to become better is to embrace true democracy. True democracy has never taken root anywhere in the world so far. But there was a time when parliamentary representative pseudo-democracies had never taken root anywhere in the world either. Until they did. I thought you needed to know about true democracy, since people do not know that such system even exists. That is why I did this video. If you fail to shake off apathy and indifference with regard to your own life, you have no right to complain when total catastrophe hits. You need to realize, to internalize rather, that delegating to others what matters most to you is an utterly bad idea on account of which you have been paying dearly. In the meantime, those in charge of maintaining and updating the universe of demagoguery have already managed to discredit the concept of wokeness. The genuine meaning of wokeness is acquiring political education, exactly what the subject of this video is. Thank you.